Since we have new players coming back into the game at all points throughout the year, I thought why not go back to the roots and start covering some of these servants as they re-release or even just release on both versions of the game. Now I usually do that with new servants, but I've noticed I've kind of been slacking when servants do come back around. I might just drop a banner guide and call it a day, but I don't really do these in-depth videos anymore. And I thought, hey, what better of a solution to kind of get around all these things kind of happening and a bunch of new servants releasing at once than just start uploading 2 videos a day. So not only will you see the Van Gogh video going up today, but you're also going to see the Saber Fran video go up later today as well. That way I can cover all of these servants, because ideally I would like my channel to be kind of like a library. If there's ever a servant you want to see how good they are or worth summoning for or whatever have you, you can just come on to the servant playlist and then you can just find whoever you want. Bada boom, bada bing. Get somebody who's been playing the game for about like 8 years at this point, in my opinion, on the highs and lows of that servant, especially when they're a servant as good as Van Gogh. Now, I'm not trying to tempt people that are newer into going in on this banner, but if you do summon for Van Gogh, she is quite strong. Just keep in mind, we have a lot of very, very powerful supports coming out at the end of the year, and we also have a lot of strong servants releasing just over the entirety of next year as well. But if you already know who you want to be saving for, and maybe you've already bagged a lot of those very powerful supports, you might be able to send a couple of multis over to Van Gogh, especially if you have interest in any of the foreigner servants specifically, because Van Gogh kind of props up that entire class basically by herself with her NP. But before we get into that, we got to break down the entirety of her kit. So with that being said, if you like being up to date on all things FGO related, I upload videos every single day, and I'm even trying to do twice, a day at this point. We'll see how long I'm able to maintain that before I lose my sanity. But if you appreciate that and you like being informed, you like content on FGO, I would appreciate if you could drop a like on the video and a subscription to the channel, as it does help me out more than you know, especially during these slow periods. But with that being said, let's start diving into her kit, starting off with her hits, of which she's rocking something you wouldn't expect, a triple quick deck, which you can functionally treat her kind of like a quick berserker if you want to think of it that way. You know how berserkers typically have that triple buster deck? Because of how her third skill works and she really can get a lot of value off of her quick cards, you can just look at it that way, but she's also refunding NP off of said quick cards. I mean, if you want to bring her with double normal Scotty, this is where she looks kind of nice, because you're getting 100% quick crit damage as well, on top of all the crit damage she's giving herself already, per caster Scotty that you bring. I mean, if you want to also bring ruler Scotty to just also get a little bit of NP refund on those quick cards and just turn that one buster card to also getting 100% crit damage, by all means you can do that. But you can also use her again kind of like a support. Like I mentioned earlier, if you like to use foreigners, bringing double Van Gogh to juice up one of those foreigners is also a completely valid strategy. I mean, she is just a very diverse servant, and you've also going to notice over here that she's got some pretty decent NP gain going, some decent star generation. Again, she's not going to be an assassin, dropping a billion stars, but with the quick chain update and her providing 3 quick cards, and the fact that one of her passives drops 2 stars every single turn, I mean, she herself will be providing a decent bit of stars for you. So she's just overall starting off as a very decent, just good looking servant just from the hits alone. And I mean, we also got to point out she does have that 5-hit extra attack, which if you don't know, you're a new player, let me inform you, is a composite card that gen stars NP and does big boy damage. Now we over here at the ZTL channel like to see at least a 5-hit, especially with the advent of a pen skills. That 5-hit extra attack is as omnipotent as ever. But you can't win battles on the extra attack alone, at least not yet, until Tucson grants me my wish. So we're gonna have to go look at some of her skills, and you'll know that I did mention in some past videos saying that, yeah, her NP is really broken. You can almost disregard her skills, but her skills are also really good. That's more just to say how good and how worth her own NP is, but do not take for a second that her skills are not strong. Starting off, she has a 5-turn Guts that gives her 3 instances of Curse that damages her 100 damage per curse stack for 10 turns, but then also gives herself 10% NP battery per curse stack that she has. And you're already going to notice right here that this is her gimmick. Van Gogh, unlike other servants, wants to be under a damage over time effect. I think the only other servant we really have that kind of functions like this and really takes being under a status to the next level is somebody like Locusta, but Locusta's more doing it for healing and whatnot. I don't think she's, hot take doing it as good as Van Gogh. But already off rip, you have a 5-turn Guts that's on a 6-turn cooldown, meaning this Guts is functionally always going to be up. You will have a 1-turn window in which this Guts goes down unless you've already used it, in which case it served its purpose. And then let's also not forget you're getting a pretty decent battery off this, at least somewhere in the range of a 30% with the curse stacks that you have. But spoiler alert, there's other ways for you to put more curse stacks on yourself, so this can actually get a bit larger than just a 30%. So already off rip, very, very strong first skill to open with, giving us survivability and a way to access our extremely powerful NP. Moving over to her second skill, this is kind of like your just Swiss Army knife of abilities, right? You're going to be able to reduce all enemies' defense by 20% for 3 turns. You get a little bit extra if you happen to be a quick servant, because she lowers their quick resistance by 20% for 3 turns as well. But hey, if you want to use her with someone like Koyan Dark, I mean, she might not be able to take full advantage of the quick down, but she'll love the NP plus the defense reduction as well. Then she offers a bit of extra survivability, not only for herself, but for the entire party, giving the entire party 1 hit of evasion for 3 turns, and she heals the entire party by 300 every turn for 5 turns. Keep in mind, her first skill is going to be draining her 300 every single turn. This is offsetting that. They made a way for your Van Gogh to not really be under a damage over time effect, but still kind of be able to play with this status effect that's always going to be afflicting her. Now, granted, this is only up for 5 turns, and that's going to be up for 10 turns, but also notice this is a 5-turn heal on a 6-turn cooldown. Again, only a 1-turn window in which that's going to be down. So if you're worried about your Van Gogh taking herself out because of curse, don't worry, not really going to be a problem. And then also notice she's going to give everybody in the party 100 curse damage for 10 turns, which is yet another stack of curse. So do keep that one in mind. I guess this is also where I should mention, because this is now the 4th stack of curse technically you can go ahead and get. Her own passive makes it to where she can't fall below 1 HP when taking curse damage, so she can't actually be brought down by her own damage over time. I mean, she can be brought to 1 HP and then an enemy flicks her and takes her out, but usually the enemy is going to be a pile of paste before that's even a problem. Because looking at her 3rd skill over here, this is again where she can kind of turn into a sick, nasty support, because not only does she give a bit of survivability to the party and lower the enemy's defenses, and hey, you even benefit more if you're a quick servant, this one's much of the same, but it's a donatable skill. You can use it on Van Gogh herself if you want her to rip and tear through people, or you can just donate this to somebody else and they will get a 30% attack buff for 3 turns, decent star weight for 3 turns, and an on attack buff that will remove the latest curse debuff when they use their quick cards. And remember, Van Gogh herself has 3 of these, so you get to benefit off this pretty nicely. And then whenever you use this quick card to remove a curse stack, you get a 10% additional attack buff for 3 turns. So we already have 4 curse stacks that are in rotation. This could be an additional 40% attack for the next 3 turns. And keep in mind, you'll always be able to remove these. Say you're going to be using this on, let's use Koyan Dark as an example again, because she's a buster servant, not a quick servant. If you're worried about this, well, at the very least, all the curses will go to her. So even though it might take her a little bit longer because she doesn't have as many quick cards as Van Gogh over here, they at least do pull those curses onto themselves so they can still remove them, right? They at least have a way to kind of at least get a guaranteed set amount of stacks. And again, this might seem a little bit weird. You're like, okay, it's like 4 stacks. This is pretty decent. You know, we can probably get up to like maybe like a 40%, you know, battery, maybe potentially sometimes. Maybe we're fighting an enemy that, you know, they're hitting us with a lot of curse. You know, you bring her to Sununos, which I do not advise. I've seen a lot of people try to do that and it ends up very poorly. I mean, high risk, high reward. You could get a metric butt ton of attack and be spamming your NP, or you could get obliterated, but I'll leave you to look into those videos yourself. But the main selling point, in my opinion, for Van Gogh, as pretty good as her skill set is already, it's the NP. This NP is absolutely sick, nasty, and goated with the sauce, because you hit the entire enemy party with terror status, which functionally is a 3-turn effect that it's going to kind of just do a check at a 60% rate to try to stun that enemy for 1 turn. So it's kind of like chance-based stun every single turn, but once you get the stun, you're not going to get it again, right? But it's a little inconsistent, but you know, sure, it's like nice. You know, you might get a random stun on an enemy and then that guy is not going to bother you for the turn. Where the real power is the fact that just for free on NP level, 50% to 100% crit damage for 3 turns for absolutely free. No cost, no charge. You go for NP5, congratulations. Merlin's hero creation buff for 3 turns. Just here, take it. No restrictions, no questions asked. But then if you're existence outside of the domain, which is basically every single foreigner type servant, you just get another 100% crit damage for free for 3 turns. So an NP1 Van Gogh again, let's just use somebody like Koyan Dark. If you bring her into that team setup, at baseline, she's giving her 150% crit damage, while also just giving the entire party 30 to 50% attack for 3 turns as well, while also dropping 10 stars every single turn for 3 turns, while also having a triple quick deck, so you know, quick chains are really easy to set up. But if you were worried about doing arch chains to refund NP and everything, well, this NP is also art, so she's just got everything on lockdown. I almost like to think of her as more of a support type Super Orion, because they both do these really insane crits, but she, unlike Super Orion, is very generous and is willing to buff all the members of the party, and if you're a little freaky like herself, you know, being a foreigner and all, and being infested with some type of otherworldly outer god guy that probably is up to no good, if you are sharing that in common with her, then you just get free big boy damage. You can just crit people into oblivion. The one thing I will say, if you are a new player and you're like, I don't know if I want to go summon for Van Gogh, I want to summon for some of these other servants later, what I would encourage is the current event that's going on right now, bring Van Gogh. Like, after you've started getting to some of the boss fights, plenty of people have Van Gogh on their friends list. Go through some story fights if you still have them. Do some interludes even. Just test the servant out. If you want to test her out as a solo DPS, bring a Leonidas and a St. George and just see how you like playing with her by herself as a solo unit. If you want to use her as more of a buffer for some of your foreigners, bring her as a friend with one of your normal supports and kind of see the mileage you get in some of these difficult fights. Again, she's not going to really be a support for farming or anything, so don't try to go do your dailies or whatever. If you can get it done that way for whatever reason, maybe you use her for the extra attack buff, maybe you pop the NP because you want to do face card crits or whatever, that's fine if you can make it work, but that's not her intended purpose. Bring her to some boss fights and everything and see how much you like her. I wish we could bring friends to advanced quests so I could advise people to go try those out, but hey, at the very least, eventually we will get the Bleached Earth missions about halfway through next year, around the summery end of spring era, and that'll bring a lot of these big 1 million HP enemies. That'll be really nice as just giant punching bags for you to just go in on and see how much damage you can get out. So let me know in the comments down below if you're going to be summoning for Van Gogh. And again, if you found this video to be entertaining or insightful, I would again appreciate a like on the video and a subscription to the channel. If you feel like going that extra mile, I have a Patreon link down in the description down below, where during the month of October, every Sunday, we are watching a spooky movie. As soon as you become a patron on whatever tier, I don't care, you will be given an instant invite through Patreon themselves into the Discord server, into a super secret chat, where you'll be able to come watch some movies and stuff with us. I believe this week we're going to be watching The Thing, so we'll see how that goes. I mean, I manned through Alien, you know, I did pretty good. It wasn't as spooky as I thought, but I've heard The Thing is a little bit more freaky, so hopefully, you know, I'm able to make it through that movie. Well, I'm gonna make it through, all right? That is my solemn oath to all the patrons. I'm making it through that movie with my eyes open, but man, I do not like scary movies, so at least for the month of October, if you want to be a part of that, that's in the Patreon in the description down below. Obviously, I'm also working on a Patreon-exclusive content over there, and it's not always going to be stuff like scary movies. Like during Christmas season, we'll probably watch Christmas movies, which I'm going to be looking forward to a lot more than the scary movies, but I'll stop yapping. I'll let you go about your day, of which I hope you have a nice one, and if you can, catch the video later on today, where I'm going to be going over Saber Frankenstein, who, well, I'll let that video at least speak for itself.